I have recovered from the PAL Expo flu and I'm ready to talk about Rolex. I had some pretty big opinions about them right from the start. They've unveiled maybe the ugliest Rolex I've ever seen, so I was curious to see if things would win me over in the metal. Overall, I thought it was a really good year from them. Nothing groundbreaking, they weren't setting the world on fire, but that wasn't the goal for this year. Let's start with the watch that I would consider to be the headliner, the two-tone Oyster Perpetual, celebrating 100 years of oyster. Everything about this shouldn't work, but it does, and I think even more so in the metal. The Rolex yellow alloy doesn't punch you in the face. It is a soft, polished reminder that this is different. More little details include the green Rolex at 12 o'clock, green squares around the minute track, and the 100 years at 6 o'clock. The yellow gold extends to the crown, which also says 100 years. To be honest, if they hadn't told me about the 100-year relief via their videos and on their website, I probably would have missed it altogether. It's so teeny tiny. I am a bit of a Rolex Oyster Perpetual person. I'm wearing one right now. I'm wearing my turquoise blue one. I have 2 Oyster Perpetuals. Of my 3 Rolexes, 2 are OPs. So I was the most excited to see this. It's like all new things. At first, it's a bit jarring to see, but then you get used to it and you grow to kind of like it. I think it's especially weird with the Oyster Perpetual. It's a line I deeply associate with being stainless steel. Two-tone is a bit more Datejusty. Then on top of that, keeping it to just the bezel and crown. It's weird, but I like it. I don't think this will be a commercial hit. My husband registered for one of these, and our AD said he was the first and only person to register interest so far. And this was days after the announcement, maybe even a full week. It wasn't like 10 a.m. on release day. I'll keep these in chronological order, so the order that I saw these in. The next watch I got to see was the Jubilee Dial Oyster Perpetual. This is available in 31, 36, and 41 millimeters. In the PAL Expo, they were only able to show me the 36, but my hotel happened to be around the corner from a Rolex boutique, Rue de la Fontaine 3, and it is the only Rolex boutique in the world directly owned by Rolex. They had in all 3 options, but I think it is the 36 millimeters in this print that works the best. The 41 feels a little bit too spread out, and the 31 a bit too compact. It almost feels designed for the 36. I do feel like it's kind of growing on me. I went from, I hate this so much, I hope I never see it again, it really stresses me out, to, I just don't like it. Which is progress. People in my comment section of my initial video were quick to point out that I did the same thing with the Celebration dial, which I grew to love. I've never been one to be good with change. Honestly, it's an Oyster Perpetual with a different dial. It's colorful, distinctive, but there's not much to say beyond that. It's just whether you like the dial or not. Rolex is written everywhere, no fewer than 10 colors. Maybe they should have done fewer than 10 colors, and lacquer colors are applied one after the other. Although I thought of the two-tone OP to be the cornerstone of this year, it is clear that Rolex saw this as their big piece for the year. Their tote bags were all in this print, little gifts inside the bag were in this print, including chocolates. On a sidebar, going back to the Rolex boutique, if you should ever find yourself in Geneva for Watches and Wonders, I would highly recommend don't even bother trying to book an appointment with Rolex, especially not in the early days, and maybe just going to the boutique instead. You can be hands-on with all the novelties. I saw more in the boutique than I saw with Rolex, and you can take your time with the product. They were really helpful. So next, I was hands-on with the watches that I was the most excited for. The full precious metal 18 karat gold Oyster Perpetual 28 and 34. If the two-tone OP was a surprise, this was bewildering. In the modern context, we deeply associate the OP with stainless steel. But the history of the Oyster includes gold, and this kind of felt like a step into the archives in the most modern way possible. On a practical level, I feel like I like the idea of being a 28mm person, and I want my collection to move into that direction. But actually wearing this watch, I find the watch head is slightly too thick for the small size, and it feels slightly hockey puck-ish. The 34mm was much more to my sizing. Although I liked them both, I already have a 34mm Oyster Perpetual that I like more. Even if I could afford these, I like my stainless steel more. I think they've done a beautiful job with the execution. A lot of ladies will like these. Next was the Datejust 41 with ombre dial, also available in 36. I mean, it is what it is. It's the same watch with a new dial. It looks good. I think it makes the watch look and feel more expensive. It adds another layer of interest. The only thing that was slightly jarring is that this is a dial I associate with the day date, but I'm more than happy to blur those worlds and have an awesome dial available for a more achievable price. Moving on, the Yacht-Master II is back, baby, and I feel a bit meh on it. I don't have the strongest feelings about this. When it was discontinued, it felt right, but this also feels right. Although it bears the same name, this is a completely different watch. New design, new capabilities, even the way you use the functionality, like the command ring, is gone, and a brand new movement. It's a complete rethinking of this model with an emphasis on simplicity. Still 44mm, and you feel that 44mm, it is a chonky boy. Functionally, everything is done through the pushers now, and that's fly, back, chronograph, and regatta functions. Aesthetically, I really like it. It feels more Rolex than the previous generation, and it's niche. I think it's less for us enthusiasts, and there's certainly an audience for this. Well, of course there is. Rolex wouldn't make it if there wasn't. Next was an off-catalog piece that I really enjoyed, so a gold day date, but I should specify this is a new gold alloy for Rolex, Jubilee Gold. There is a lot of Jubilee as well, so a Jubilee Gold, Jubilee Dial. It is the year of Jubilee. Lift your voice, the year of Jubilee. A certain era of Christians will know that song. Back to the gold. Let's talk about the gold. So this is a more pale iteration, and I find it hard to describe. Like, there were times where it felt more yellow, but the best way to describe it is a pale ever rose. It felt like their coppery ever rose alloy with the saturation turned down. This was one of those times where I wish we weren't in horrible lighting and could take things to a window. I really liked this. It was something that needed updating. I always found their rose gold or ever rose gold a bit too coppery for me. And when you're spending precious metal kind of money, it needs to be quite right. And finally, my favorite novelty of theirs this year, the new enamel dial Daytona, which I believe is another off-catalog piece. I mean, this is a deep cut, things that would be exciting for Daytona nerds, but I think most people would rather to just have a full stainless steel white Daytona. I personally really liked this. I think it might be my favorite execution of the Daytona ever. So the white of the enamel dial is luminous and shiny, while the anthracite still feels shiny but in a different way, almost like a dark slate gray. I'm going to do my best to communicate my understanding of the dial and the processes that happened here. I am not the best at technical stuff, but my understanding is the enamel has received the Grand Fou treatment, which is enamel powder mixed with water applied to a base, then fired in a kiln and repeated 5 to 15 times to build depth, with a high risk of cracking and deformation with each firing. Rolex has done this atop ceramic plates, which is different, and it's 4 separate ceramic discs, which are then fitted onto a brass plate. I'm really not a materials expert. I'm just a person with eyeballs, and it looks fantastic. It's deep while also being milky and rich. A little odd detail Daytona people will catch: the numerals on the tachymeter scale remain upright, so always easily read by the wearer. To me, this Daytona represents doing things the most premium way possible, having all the resources of the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation to make a very good Daytona. A lot of people wouldn't be able to tell this apart from the stainless steel variant if you were out and about. It's a real, if you know, you know, and beautifully done. This is the watch that stole the show for me. If my AD called and said, "Hey Britt, let's get you registered for an off-catalog piece," this would be what I asked for. Not that the AD is ever saying that to me, But if they did, in my hypothetical little world, I think it's overall been a very cool year from them. It's cool to see them investing in Grand Fu enameling and new materials. Like, they don't have to do that. They are Rolex. People will just buy their stainless steel watches. They don't need to do anything different. It kind of feels like a commitment to excellence, and I respect that a lot. So those are some of my initial thoughts after being hands-on with everything. I'm actually glad we ended on a high. We ended with some good thoughts. I feel like my videos usually end with me being grumpy. And that's the final flavor people have in their mouths after one of my videos. Thank you for your viewership. Thank you to my good friend Lydia at Lydia's Watches on Instagram who made this appointment possible. Go follow her if you like beautiful uses of color done by an even more beautiful, fabulous, fantastic person. And of course, I didn't forget about you, Pope tier patrons. Thank you to you. Get their names on the screen. Hello, Pope tier patrons. Hello, anyone who just made it to the end. Thank you so much for your viewership. Thank you, all tiers of patrons. Thank you. I say it all the time, and it's true. You guys keep this channel going. You keep it afloat and a financially viable thing for me. I hope you keep enjoying the work we do here. Even if you are like looking at your finances and think, I don't think it's smart for me to keep supporting Brit's channel, but you want to keep watching, you can dip in, dip out, whatever at any time. Thank you so much for your amazing generosity. Even now, dip out whenever. Just thank you. I don't feel like I'm holding you hostage or you have to stay. I hope you keep enjoying the work here. I love making it. You guys are so awesome. Okay, see you in the next one.